Hello and welcome to our live theory class with myself, Dr. Drake, and all of you geniuses out there. So glad that you could meet up with me for a lunch and learn today on how to use light and photomodulation to improve the body's electrical field and oxygen carrying. That's what we're after all. Aging is good oxygen. Anti-aging is antioxidants. Well, now today we're going to show you how we put light in the body in different colors and bandwidths, show you how you can actually charge up your mitochondria of the body, which we've been talking about. And I hope that all of you guys remember that these lectures that I've been giving are all posted at Mighty Networks under a big, huge IHA 205 course materials in the middle of your blog. And I wanted you to know that if any of you guys have missed that, there are multiple other slides here, you know, of other parts there that have great detailed notes, okay? So I would like to review a couple of things we did last week, especially because we talked about light therapy types last week, okay? So do you remember last week I talked about there's polarized and non-polarized? Are you seeing the full spectrum of light from the sun, which is non-polarized, or are you bending the light to just see the left shining living part of it? The right side of light is not living, if you will. The left isomers is the living light. So if you polarize the light, you can get more light into the body and discard some of the negative light that is glare. The second type of light we talked about was polychromatic, many lights and colors at once, versus mono or one chromatic, one color at once. Then we talked about incoherent light, which is blended like an LED light moving in many directions, versus a laser beam in coherent, exact sequence or in phase with each other to create a beam of light that can travel miles, okay? And then we talked about the ability to have cold lights, such as low energy lights like LEDs, versus very high, hot, powerful lasers that can literally cauterize or burn or change your eyeball in terms of laser surgery. So then at the end of the next couple of weeks, I'd like to introduce to you some new modalities where we've mixed up the combination of frequencies of sound melody on top of a light carrier wave to deliver light frequencies that can be transduced into auditory and physical and felt signals in terms of healing the human being. So if you want me to just, in the next tutorial next week, I will actually show you some demonstrations of mono and polychromatic, but really when we're talking about the Genius, I really want to talk to a great degree about the new Genius program coming out, which is their wearable light wand that is also PEMF. So we're going to try to bring you up in the steps of understanding what the 3 or 4 kinds of light are and why we chose the red light of the monochromatic for the deepest penetration that also can sync up to PEMF. And that's what you're going to find after the next week or so is why we have moved into that direction. So last week, I'm just going to briefly go over, we talked about biophotomodulation is when a light device is used to eliminate pain or reduce inflammation or accelerate healing of tissues or to treat a broad range of nerve, muscle, and joint conditions. Excellent for penetrating the skin for wrinkles and rejuvenation of collagen at the deeper levels of skin, and also can be used for wound healing and more. So it's a crazy, wonderful, versatile way to, you know, have anybody who needs to get well in a non-invasive modality get access to this kind of new self-care potential, okay? Now, I would like to say that, just let me get going here. The light modalities can enter the body through several ways, okay? I think most people don't really understand how light enters the body, but you know that a cell phone signal and a Bluetooth can travel invisibly to different layers in your body. So we're talking, oops, sorry, I'm just trying to get rid of that little side angle. Can you guys see okay? So how do we get light and PEMF to ethers to enter the body? It's like hugging the body. Let's just see if I can play the slideshow from this current slide and enlarge that for you. So light and PEMF, like quantum biofeedback, can be transmitted and transduced systemically, meaning through the bloodstream into the entire body waters through a variety of mechanisms that are all non-invasive. So light therapy can enter sensory receptive signals of organs, like magnetic acupressure meridians, which are phospholuminescent phosphorus light channels. It can enter through the eyes. It can enter through the pineal and light receptors that are in the back of the neck, such as the 3rd ventricle and the 4th ventricle that have enterochromaffin light cells in there. It can enter through the melatonin in your skin and the receptors in there. It could also be translated through temperature changes. Vibration can turn into signaling as well that can be transduced backwards back to light senses, like massaging your feet can make your pineal gland relax and feel bonding hormones. And then the autonomic nervous receptors, which I told you in the gut were like enterochromaffin cells, these kinds of things can also receive light. The diaphragm and the blood is pumping the light through all the arterial walls, heart, capillaries, and blood. So when you use light therapy, you're actually taking a magic carpet ride on the natural heartbeat to deliver it, right? And also platelets are made of light. So if they absorb the light, then your blood is more enlightened and more perfect pH to carry oxygen and not so dark and oxidized. When you have neurotransmitters carry light, they are connected to your hormone receptors in each of your glandular structures that convert light hormones into chemical hormones through neurotransmitter crystals we talked about for the last couple of weeks, right? And we also know that those light receptors in the eyes and brain are connected to our sense organs, to our gut melatonin, where we can signal the enterochromaffin cells about, nasty invaders in the gut lining for stimulation, peristalsis, and immune protection. And then we also have light that can occur through the ear. Now, strangely enough, the eyes have a cortex that has a spectrum of light, but so do the ears and nose. One hair cell for each frequency, one hair cell in the ear for each frequency, more like 3 hair cells in the ear for each frequency. So if you shine light in someone's ears, you can transduce some of that vestibular frequency into vibratory frequencies, and the ear vestibular apparatus and cerebellum can detect this endoplasmic reticular little tubular frequencies, making new frequencies and making you give new signaling. Okay. Now, even blind people have been able to see circadian rhythms and move in certain ways that indicate there's probably something else about their body, like a magnetic sensor, like that is in birds who travel, birds as they travel down the highway of life in the sky, they're magnetically guided by the powers of the grid lines in the earth. So remember that biophotomodulation I mentioned last week, and I won't really go into this because I don't want to get too much into last week's lecture. I talked about a lot of this in detail last week, but just remember that biophotomodulation uses red and near infrared light for the biggest low-level energy field, the most incoherent light, the highest safety profile, with red and infrared diodes being able to be a very long wavelength to deliver deeper to the circulation, and therefore they get better inflammation and ATP production in the mitochondria. So the longer wavelength of the deeper penetration of the red light gives a faster therapy time down to 25 to 45 minutes. There's almost no contraindications unless you have sensitive skin to light, medications that make you light sensitive. You have lupus, an autoimmune disease that doesn't like light, and you're also not having cancer using green light on stimulating cell growth or purple light on the pineal gland. We also wanted to talk about, last week I went and just showed you briefly the polarized, polychromatic, and incoherent. Let's just flash through those slides. If something is polarized, we put a filter on it to bend the light so you only see one direction of it. So this is what we gave the example as polarized lenses that tilt the light out and stop the glare when you're driving, okay? Or military lights that stop, for pilots so they get tired. We also talked about polychromatic or monochromatic. So if there's many colors of lights in the light, it acts more like white noise and you can carry many things of colors of the rainbow. Whereas if it's a single light of a monochromatic, it carries more like that one single bandwidth, one note on the piano's octave, more or less, rather than the whole octave altogether. And we also know that light can be now digitalized into LEDs, which have a certain light bulb that only emits light at a certain frequency bandwidth. So the most healing bandwidths of light visible to the eye are 300 to 700 hertz, around that range. And you'll notice that most of the frequency healing around, 340 or 760 hertz lasers, these are all the most important lights that show up in the visible light spectrum. So LED lights can match lasers, but without the heat and the endangerment of burning. You can also have monochromatic light, like your Christmas tree lights are all, yellow in the house. This can be used for one color at a time for one specific organ or property. Or you could develop a PEMF penetration of that one color. Let's say we use copper color blue to help the thyroid here at the frequency of 440 hertz. The copper color of cobalt could help the pineal gland, for instance, at that darker blue. and the lighter blue for copper could help the thyroid. So giving the blue spectrum of light within a certain range is sometimes helpful. And then far infrared, as I mentioned, is what we often light up the night sky with because it has a longer wavelength and stimulates the deeper penetration of the skin collagen, the antioxidant effects, the ATP production, and the DNA repair. So you'll find most people are talking about red lights primarily, but there are other colors that do other things for other organs. So every hormone is a different wavelength, therefore every hormone is a different color, and every hormone runs on a different mineral and a different note on the piano and a different emotion because they're all in similar wavelengths, okay? Similar bandwidths, like an air traffic controller talking to planes at different altitudes, if you will. The higher the altitude, the more frequencies per second, the more dense the signal, the farther it can go flying through the air. And that gives us our body balance of all the light chakras that carry different minerals that hold those lights like little battery cells. So the zinc holds the red light, the tin holds the orange light in the spleen, the yellow, the sulfur and the yellow minerals hold the liver clean. The green magnesium holds the heart chakra. The copper in the thyroid is the light blue color of copper. The dark blue cobalt of the pineal or pituitary, is the cobalt blue. And when you get up to the pineal gland, we're talking the purple color of light workers, who all of us tend to wear purple. And then when all of those colors are together, we get what's called white light. Now, if you can use PEMF as the carrier wave to carry all these frequencies into the body, now you can specify with extra help which light band you want to do. And now the PEMF tells you how deep do you want to penetrate. It's the perfect combination of an artist's brush. Do I need a light touch of what color? Or do I need a heavy brush and a heavy coloring of that area that's injured? Okay. So when you do these kinds of references, I just wanted you to be very carefully understanding what is incoherent waves, which are wavy, irregular, repeating waves of various wavelengths, kind of like smushing into the chocolate pudding, into the white pudding, and you mix it all up, right? That's causing some destructive interference and constructive interference, and over time, it sort of washes things out, okay? So it's carried forward only a little bit, so it doesn't burn and penetrate too deeply, because by the time the intersective waves knock each other out, they blend and cause destructive interference. So in this way, I could destroy bugs or parasites by sending them the frequencies at the right wavelength to make the bugs incoherent and make their walls all fall apart and tumble down, okay? Whereas on the differences, the LED lasers, the LEDs can give you unilateral or mono light or multiple lights. Sorry. So we talked about the fact that light therapy can be destructive or constructive based on which wavelengths and which frequencies you add to it. So our wavelengths of incoherent light and blurring of many colors, of many minerals, of many vitamins and enzymes is bathing the body in a lovely, gentle soup of cold laser, we call it, LED light. And that is basically helps all your non-invasive healing modalities have a better, calmer body to work from. You got more enzymes and more colors to exchange electrons in the body. You have a more fluid and flexible physiology when you're out in the sunlight. And this is what the sunlight would look like under the microscope, is it's all the colors blended together, okay? We also can use those different colors for signaling, for communication, for aligning and tuning the body. We can shine different colors like a headlight right on one area of wound. So if you have a sore tendonitis or something, you could shine red light and tendon repair frequencies right and get a very local effect. Or you could put light on the wristband through the blood system and deliver it scattered through the whole body and all the blood through the whole body. And now you're using a cold laser, but it's got wide distribution. Remember that when something's in a prism of three-sided triangle, the light goes forever because it bounces off of each side of the triangle infinitely till it keeps propelling forward. So a laser is a more condensed, coherent, tiny focused beam of laser light, okay? And when the light goes down a laser, it emits almost perfect coherence, where all the biophotons line up exactly in a linear phase, like you've seen at rock concerts, and they can shine up all the way into the sky for miles on end, right? So that's the difference between incoherent LEDs versus a very focused laser that they could use, such as the Webb telescope that's looking into, billions of years of our history on a laser telescope. Now, just to put this into your mind, memorize this page. So the coherent laser is all the prism of light stacked up together like the prisms in your neurotransmitters and your meridians in your body, which travel along like really super laser beam quick signaling. And there's other parts of your body that give off chemical details of an array of frequency spectrum. There's light blue, there's mini light blue, there's semi light blue, there's medium light blue, there's medium dark blue, there's medium dark blue, and there's dark blue, right? So within even the color of blue, there's a spectrum of frequencies or bandwidths within that, each of which has been now very well mapped into different body healing potentials. So when we use hot lasers, which are coherent, they have a farther chance to travel, but that means they could penetrate deeper and burn. So we try to will be very careful to let you know that if you're going to be a laser operator, you have to have a 7-week laser course. You have to have a license in laser technology. You have to be very careful about you don't burn. You could be sued with your pants if you scarred somebody's face with a laser. So you have to know that that is more like a medical laser technology that is just coming into the layman's frame, but just be a bit careful with that so that nobody ever gets burnt under that, like a light acting scalpel. The cold LEDs are much safer. The incoherent LED lights, you're never going to have a complaint about it because it can't burn you. It penetrates gently into you. It doesn't have the side effects, and it eliminates pain through all these frequencies absorbed into your lipids, right? The skin is made of a lipid layer, the fat around the liver, the brain. So all the lipids can absorb all that light and hold on to it. Then it can reduce. A second way is it reduces inflammation by opening vasodilation of arteries through the nitric oxide vasodilation pathway. So nitric oxide dilates and then the blood can flow better. The third way light helps is it accelerates the healing of wounds or any injuries through ATP production pathways, where more light hits the mitochondria, and the mitochondria then light up the night and have enough energy for all that to improve your healing. So last week we talked about coherent lasers align your tissues. They can be cutting through the tissues like a laser cautery, or they can be used, but through very high energy, they can cut things with disharmonic or discordant dissonance. They can be destructive as well as constructive. Coherent light has more constructive waves in sync with each other called in phase, whereas incoherent light are out of phase and cause destructive interference patterns softly with a softer intensity and focus. And these LED lights offer benefits with higher safety margins, and they're a little bit less expensive than an incoherent laser, okay? And they don't take as much power. Alternatively, the incoherent lasers can also be harnessed, like we're going to do with the Genius program, with destructive interference waves, and knock out parasites and bioterrain biofilm and improve your collagen production and your wrinkles and your anti-aging, because we're going to use these these incoherent light patterns to gently do it from home. So now you don't need a doctor and a whole medical clinic to supervise a supersonic laser at high cost, high invasion, and high worry. You're going to use the incoherent lightweight patterns, which will increase your chance of better signaling, better distribution, better survival, less injury on the nerves, and better feel to the client who it's going to be a nicer, more pleasant experience. It also helps you when you can shine light in the eyes to activate the DNA more directly. So shining light on the skin is one way to get it. And other light therapies, I'll show you, you shine them right into the eyes and it goes right to the DNA to correct the DNA for anti-aging. Okay. We also talked about the fact that you can also build up tsunami waves, scalar waves, if you use coherent light. In Los Cabos, Mexico, they have a scalar wave light generator on the beach. And if a tsunami came to the hotel, they would make a counter tsunami to go out and cancel it out in the ocean. So this can be applied to military installations, weaponry, and all kinds of other things, but I'm more interested in the applications for human coherence in benefiting our health, okay? Now, however you get those biophotons with a 9:30 a.m. walk, or you're using light therapy by day, we have to remind you that you have to have the minerals inside your body to transduce the light and make it useful. So that goes back to some of our other talks about having more minerals in the body to pattern along the signals as they're coming. Now, when you put an LED in the body, it sends in an interference pattern that could have one set of frequencies at 100 hertz and another set of frequencies at 108 hertz, and they would destroy each other, and only the 8 hertz differential binaural beats would be left over. And that's the exact same frequency for oxygen and mitochondria and theta waves and relaxation. So we can use light to actually induce relaxation by using binaural beats of different frequencies of light pass through the waterways of our body. We can use light to destroy toxins, washing away by adding biophotons onto mercury, mercury 3 plus, mercury 2 plus, mercury 1 plus, mercury neutral. Now I've got enough light photons to neutralize the mercury. Now it's not sticking out like a sore thumb. It can pass through the lipid membranes and fly out of me. So the heavy metals will leave the body faster when all these light biophotons, by the millions and billions of biophotons, are coming in through the light therapy. And it's a very great way to charge up the water in your body, to flush out the waterborne toxins. It's a good way to charge up the gases in your body and discharge the gases in your body. And it's a good way to charge up the fats, lipids, and proteins in the body. So you're technically a stronger light being with a bigger force field around you. We also want to use incoherent light because it mimics Mother Nature. She has all the colors of the rainbow coming down on us in that morning walk. So this is the part where all the non-invasive best thing in the world is light therapy, getting your eyes on the sun to start off that circadian rhythm I've been talking about for brainwave sleeping, theta and delta waves, versus brainwave waking, which is alpha and beta waves, 4-8 beats a second or 16-32 beats a second. So by using low-level light in the daytime, if you're in a dark environment, you can help your health. You could, I'll just mention here, high-level beams can be using coherent lasers for, as we say, rock shows. They could penetrate light, air, tissue. They create heat enough to cause the mitochondria to charge up with a lot of heat. They can cut skin and cut blood vessels, and we use it in surgery sometimes as laser cautery. These high-powered lasers are so coherent that they can shine through huge distances in outer space by the miles, and that's why you could be arrested for sending a laser pointer up in the sky and blinding a pilot in a plane, and you could be arrested for that. High-energy lights also can be piggybacking other codes of telecommunication. So now we see the Starlink satellite system coming out to give Wi-Fi around the whole world at 60% of the cost, because they're sending it down on massive packets of light waves. So you can have 8 fiber optic cables where we used to have one, 5G cable. You could have 8 times the information at 10 times the speed on a fiber optic cable. And this is why the world is moving away from the 5G into the fiber optic world of instantaneous biophotonic telecommunications. And this is what the new quantum financing banking system is going to be built on, because you can send money from Germany to Canada in 2 seconds flat now through fiber optic transmission, which can go up from the Earth to a satellite and bounce around the other side of the Earth at thousands of miles of distance at the speed of light. So there's many industrial uses for light in telecommunications and in medicine. And remember that it's focused, the more the focused of the beam, the more it can cut. So beware of that. Our global internet light communication system is going to be built on a very low voltage fiber optic cable to allow fiber optic telecommunications without supposedly hurting the head with all the 5G magnetic field of soup that we've been exposed to. So I believe that the future will be something more along fiber optics. Now, I do want to show you this a little later in the end, but I will show you some of the, well, let's just briefly say you can use lasers for surgery, like LASIK eye surgery. Okay, so that's one coherent tool of light therapy that can be used in medicine to debride the wound or, cut off scar tissue or break up scar tissue. But most of the topic for the rest of my time with you is not going to be talking about that kind of laser. I'd like to spend more time talking about the low LED level light therapies as a safer, more effective, accessible, and affordable tool, okay? It gives lower intensity, safe on the eyesight, can't burn the skin, so you're not at liability for anybody using it. It goes through the circulation, so it gets to the whole body at once and can be used for prolonged periods of time, even though it is quick to improve your oxygen. Within 2 to 8 minutes, your oxygen level doubles in the blood as all the clumpy platelets fall apart with light. So we're going to talk about the new LED okay, PEMF combination unit that Genius has invented to deliver the selective frequencies through the Bluetooth of the melody of which frequency or bandwidth of light you want to talk to, but we're carrying it on a magic carpet ride of red and infrared spectrum LEDs and magnetic pulsations so that we get the perfect melody, but the perfect delivery. And now you get the whole meal. You get the whole frequency meal by this accentuated combination delivery method. So this is going to be what we would call the quantum tunneling effect, where you can piggyback one frequency, insert it onto a carrier wave, and tunnel the red light, and it'll drag those other frequencies into the skin deeper and into the bloodstream deeper to open up that ATP and nitric oxide. So light therapy can instantly create a positive, it says here coherence. Well, what I really should say is incoherent, honestly. Whoops, I shouldn't have done that. Uh-oh. Lost my place. So that was the last slide there. And I want to show you now, if we have some time, how am I doing on time, folks? I'm trying to get to this next section where we show you all these different absolute beautiful ways to use light. So last week I did part 4 and I just recapped it. Let's now talk about part 5. How would you apply these incoherent, monochromatic or polychromatic lights in therapy, okay? So this is going to be the last of our 3 videos, and I'd like to just show you where you would use these kind of things in actual practice. And we're going to talk next week about a really big, once in October, we're releasing this new wearables from Genius Insight Health apps. So you might want to get on the pre-order from the sale of it coming up. But that light wand is very important for you to now take everything I've been teaching you for several months and put it into a monochromatic, incoherent, red light and infrared light or near infrared light that also piggybacks biofeedback and also is using the magnetic field of PEMF, which is a magnetic pulsing field rather than a single isolated frequency. It's that vortex we're producing, which is more like surround sound. And by doing that, we're able to penetrate the body's deepest parts of the body and get down to the right color wavelengths into the body, giving a wide spectrum of frequencies of the EMF coverage by the Genius software, but using it on a narrow band of delivery right into the skin or eye and absorbing it through all the body parts, okay? And we also can deliver the PEMF through the magnetic eye of the swan, of the Canadian geese, right? They have a special magnetite that we have in our hearts, and that guides us to the magnetic field. So by using the biological effects of the best rainbow spectrum of light and the best spectrum of EMF, which can get, as I taught you, below 60 hertz. Remember, light is 300 hertz to 700 hertz or 300 nanometers to 700 nanometers that we can play with as the therapeutic range. But what do you do when you're going below 300 hertz? The magnetic field of PEMF is going to pick up the base all the way down to 1 hertz. So by mixing the PEMF for the brain and the light spectrum for the body, we're covering the sort of mind-body-spirit connectivity by combining these efforts together, okay? Isn't that wonderful? Now, the rainbows have violet wave is the shortest wavelength, and the red light is the longest wavelength, okay? So beyond violet is the ultraviolet, which is invisible to the human eye, and that can pass through you and suntan you and kill you, like we talked last week about the ultraviolet UVA, UVB, and UVC light. So last week I talked at length about that. The UVC is what augments your vitamin D and activates everything. And the UVB is good for immunity. The UVC or the UVA can burn you. So if you want to review anything about UV light, go back to our last recording. But the longest wavelength is the red one. And again, I say it's very low wavelength, longer penetration into the skin. And that's why it makes someone of a bit of a better carrier wave. Beyond the infrared is the microwaves, the radar, the television wavelength. So we're not in that danger zone when we're using this technology, folks, okay? Now, remember that the different frequency of cycles per second of a sound wavelength is the same in a light wavelength. We just call it nanometers. How far does it travel per nanometer? 9 decimal places of a meter, okay? So when you're talking about the sound wave and light wave, I want you to know this super secret. That is at the middle of the piano, 1 octave above and 1 octave below middle C, this is where the sound and the light frequencies actually match each other. So 432 hertz is very frequency similar to 432 nanometers. So if you can get my idea, we have a chance to transduce sound into light if we use that sort of middle of the zone spectrum here, taking advantage of that super delivery into the body non-invasively by matching sound and light at that same sort of 2 octave interval, okay? So the light of red is a longer wavelength that penetrates better. That's your exam question. Which penetrates the skin deeper? The longest wavelength, okay? And what makes the color red is zinc. And what does collagen and all the elastin of the skin made of is zinc. So the red zinc makes the red wavelengths of the red connective tissues. Now, I'm going to just remind you that the physical ultraviolet red lights are also available that match the notes on the piano, which means they match frequencies, which means they match minerals, which means they match gems. So all of this is what we call the matrix of which frequency or bandwidth harbors which mineral or color or smell or scent that talks to which organ at which hormone. They're all somewhat color coded. If this isn't the perfect example of that God exists as the creator who infinitely organized this with wisdom, nothing else will convince you. So we're going to use light therapy and music therapy through our genius, and we're going to send back in the colors. We're going to send back in the musical notes. We're going to send back in these frequencies, if you will, and the body will get the message that we're talking to you, you heart, at 478 hertz. Hey, you green color A on the oxygen scale, the note A runs oxygen in the heart. So there's some corollary of which colors can be used to talk to which organs based on which frequency of color you paint your bedroom, right? And we have different colors of warm and cool colors that are opposite each other, that complement each other, okay? So there's the red, blue, orange, indigo, yellow, violet, and green, and magenta. All of those are sort of warmer colors, if you will, and they are helpful, and hot inflamed tissues may need to be the opposite and cool down with cooler colors like blue, okay? Depending on whether you want to go hot or cold. So just to make it a little more obvious, the base chakra of the body at the bottom of your body is more red in the gonads and the spleen, the gonads and the genitals, the base and the kidney. The sacrum or the spleen is more orange colors, and the liver tends to be more of the yellow color for the solar plexus, okay? So we call that zinc, tin, and sulfur in the mineral world. These are the colors that help you heat up the body and keep warm at your base. The lower chakra energy is a parasympathetic color. So the parasympathetic dominance zones have longer wavelengths to calm down your adrenals, okay? The red and the zinc makes adrenaline. The red makes testosterone and all your hormones for sex and relaxation. The orange colors are more for cleaning you. And then when you get into the yellow colors, we're talking about, the manufacturing plant of the liver. So it's going to like a lot of sulfur for building blocks and other things that improve the body that way. Okay. Now I want you to remember that red is the light and red is zinc, and zinc makes you think, and zinc for pink, zinc if you stink, zinc to think, zinc if you need to drink, the thirst hormone, zinc for the growth hormone in the winky dink. That is the human growth hormone in the pineal gland that all makes our bones grow at night and helps adolescents grow and develop secondary sex characteristics, and then have zinc for ovaries, testicles that develop an egg that has the sperm, an egg that meets the zygote that makes a new life. So there is no duplication of life to correct any cell without zinc. Do you hear me? No cell can multiply and divide to make a new mitochondria if it doesn't have the zinc plug in it. So when I say to you every day, watch out for the worms that steal zinc, I'm talking about those parasites that steal your main energizing source of your passion, your power, your excitement, your motility, your vibrancy, your power of your adrenals. Without it, you hump over in your back, you lose your belly turns into belly fat, your legs lose the testosterone muscle building, and you get skinny legs with a big belly and a hunched over back. That's called eosinopenic Cushing syndrome. No zinc in the adrenals from worms for so long, your body's collapsing into an adrenal exhausted mess. The orange color, it's your happy, joyful color. It's best combined with the purple of the pineal gland is really the greatest combination color mix. It's fantastic for creativeness, adaptability, well-being, self-esteem, cheerfulness, prosperity. Anybody who walks in an orange t-shirt, they're having a self-esteem issue because they're trying to pump their own self-esteem up by wearing orange. That's why we put prisoners in orange jumpsuits, by the way, to heal their spleens of anger, hostility, and parasites. The orange in dining rooms promotes family union and eating together and social enthusiasm and social ability and sportiness, right? Look about all the sports drinks that use orange on their label, or the big, advertisements in the hockey rinks in the stadiums. So if you want to get self-assured and constructive, you need zinc, tin, and copper in your spleen, and that turns on superoxide dismutase to clean the entire body of fungus, mold, yeast, parasites, worms. No matter what, if you got hydrogen peroxide in your spleen made of tin, copper, and zinc, you're going to have a clean body. Okay. I won't go into the yellow on the liver, but I want you to remember a couple lectures ago, I went in ad nauseum about sulfur being the main cleaning ingredient for your liver to shut up the bugle boy on the monocytes that stops the autoimmune cascade, and it stops you from recruiting white blood cells and getting swollen lymphomas. So the yellow fault for sulfur is in all the garlic, onions, mustard, curry, ginger, apricots, and all the nat sulf, every MSM or DMSO, whatever you can do to get quercetin, anything to do with glutathione, get your sulfur up in everybody's body to clean their livers. Now, the body frequencies for cooler are really of the shorter wavelengths, like the frequency of love for the DNA, the frequency of heart, love, green, right? All that iron and magnesium range here for keeping you pumping and calm. And then the throat color is the chakra color for copper, which is the thing that runs your thyroid thermostat. Then we have the purple in the crown for we actually should have navy blue in there, or cobalt blue for pituitary, and then the magenta color for the crown. So combining all of these colors together with all the minerals I've been teaching you will give you the more cooling colors to soothe somebody who's over hot, or the hot colors to spike up somebody and get them moving if they're too cold and lethargic, right? So in Chinese medicine, where you're hot, we give you cool compresses. And when you're cool, we give you warm compresses. So when you're working with yourself on your genius, try to see if all of the, if your body is needing soothing and calming and cooler colors and cooler minerals, you know that your body's maybe too hot somewhere. And if you're looking for stimulation of all the red colors, maybe your body needs a little something. So colors basically are the first aid to improve your well-being. For poor concentration, you'd use the violet for the liver, violet for the pineal, or the yellow to clean the liver. Shortness of breath, you're going to use blue light. In digestion, we're going to use the yellow in the liver. Feeling cold, the red light to warm you up. Feeling emotionally blue or sentimental, calm that emotion with the friendliness of orange. For bereavement and grief, you want the pink light of the highest color of roses, or the green light for the heart. For persistent headaches, we want to open up the crown chakra and the blue and violet light up there. So you can see that just using certain color therapies and or minerals of those colors, or crystals of those colors, or enzymes of those colors, these are all going to help improve the body. So using incoherent light can deliver polychromatic light as well as uni or monochromatic light. In our case, we're going to use the monochromatic light of the red and near infrared to get that reddish, better long wave delivery. But there are other frames of reference. I'm going to show you some other light therapies that have one lens, like the bioptron light therapy that has one lens for each color, for each frequency of each organ, one by one. And they have a spectral light that has all frequencies in one, called white light, that has all of the frequencies. And generally speaking, all of these help with pain, inflammation, and relaxation, okay? So when you're using monochromatic red light, we're going to be using low-level Gauss, meaning low-level volume, incoherent light with a high safety profile that generates both red and infrared diodes, improving circulation, reducing inflammation, enhancing ATP energy production in your mitochondria, which is for DNA and protein production, and a longer wavelength for deeper penetration, therefore a faster therapy time of only 25 to 45 minutes. Okay. And caution, I mentioned this before, just be careful you wouldn't use that on somebody who's actively bleeding and spurting blood, or having a pus pocket or blood infection or skin infection right under the light, or they have hypertension, which is going to be, you're going to pump them up with red light and heat them. So if they're already overhot with hypertension, then don't put that on somebody who's a hypertensive crisis, okay? Now, I want to show you that by using the red light in a spectrum of about 680 nanometers or 680, what's 680 on the piano? 680 is interesting. Close to that is zirconium diamonds at 624. The longest wavelength can penetrate the skin and best used on the root chakras. So you can use the light wand on your ankles or at the base chakra and have it move the light all the way up through your legs and ankles into the whole body through the light spectrum at the base. So you'll see these athletes are putting the light probe on them while they're working out to get better blood flow, or after to calm themselves down from pain or stress after workouts. But anybody can use this with any condition, including arthritis, bone problems, any kind of issue of stress, pain, relaxation, or peak performance. And if you're going to put that light up through the body with a magnet, you're going to ground the person better so they can get less electroconductive, irritation, shall we say. So our Infinity Health app is going to bring out this biophotomodulation wearable that has light therapy combined with frequency for portability, programmability, customizability, with frequency sequences that are built into the Genius program, or you could buy our bioterrain library for parasites and use extra power to get rid of those bugs faster, right? So it's time saving because it's delivering deeper to all body parts. It's mobile, accessible, and versatile. It can be used on a Genius iPhone or a tablet or an Android. So you can use that flexibility for the deciding factor on your end users to make it best easy for them to use, and therefore they'll likely use it with more compliance. You can add on sub-menus for targeted care, like our coaching remote clients program, where you can use the quantum cap and figure out how to send somebody their cell phone recipe for the week. They then put it from Bluetooth onto their quantum wearable, right? So the Insight PEMF LED wristband is going to now allow them to move 25 to 50 feet away from their tablet or their cell phone while they're doing their house cleaning or whatever. And they're able to get their therapies while they're still moving around and not having to sit still for an hour a day. It also has low radiation. There's no Wi-Fi necessary. And as you know, Bluetooth is much better than Wi-Fi in terms of its effect on your electromagnetic field. It converts frequencies into magnetic pulses and into synchronized light pulses, which is so amazing. And so now we can do binaural beats or different frequencies, combination punches of different frequencies in different sequences, long sequences or intense sequences. So however you want to go wide or deep on your coaching, you can use this to modify it to your style. So say somebody's got a really bad set of acne and problems with their skin, you could set them up just for the skin module and get the full power of the computer working on skin only. Maybe somebody else is in great shape and they want a little bit of everything, and you give them the wide spectrum annual cleaning for spring cleaning, okay? So depending on the coach, you can use the combination of light and magnetics to get quicker, deeper penetration at lower risk and lower side effects for very high tolerability and high millivolts of energies, highly tolerable millivolts of energies. We don't have to go to 1,000 milligauss. We can go to 47, 67, bones heal at 70 millivolts or microtesla. You don't have to go in massive doses. And this thing pumps out 100 microtesla approximately. I'm going to have to check it in the lab but when it comes out. But I've been doing basic testing on this to show that it's very, very equivalent to using larger magnetic coils by putting the light on the inside of you and transducing it through your blood rather than transducing it through a coil. Now, both work, but remember the light is better for the body and the coil is better for the brain. And we're learning how to adapt that by making them both for good for both people. If we use frequencies and light and magnets that can get through all of these areas of the body. So the infrared LED mobile light therapy is highly advantageous. It gives a spectrum of cool, it's not going to be hot on you, LED, of that incoherent, safe light, and applications that can reduce the risk of laser burns or interfacing with, people in medical clinics where you have to go get a laser done on you for a high cost and waiting room time and travel time. You can do this from home safely on yourself and your kids and even your pets, presumably. The wearable LEDs use the best wavelengths that penetrate the skin, which is the red and near infrared for the longest wavelength and the deepest penetration. That's giving you the improved delivery and enhanced magnetic pulsations through the skin as well. And it's triggering many light receptors throughout the body with a wide positive effect in the whole body's endocrine system and skin systems. The PEMF magnetic induction then gives you this extra beneficial low range frequencies for the systemic organs and the brain waves of delta, theta, beta waves, and the oxygen and hydrogen and mitochondria down there at 8 to 10 hertz, and the cell wall at 28 hertz, and the oxygen carrying enzymes in the blood at 66.5 hertz. So when you're using the combination of magnets and light, you're getting right down to the mitochondria, girls and boys. So also, because we're giving it the light piggyback, we can shorten the time that you have to be on it. And that'll probably presumably reduce people who get side effects of EMF sensitivity. So in a nutshell, to sort of summarize, we're improving your blood flow, we're improving your oxygen, we're improving the light that it fills up the platelets, so they're now negative charge and repel each other, causing less platelet clumping and clots. Super important in the years of COVID where everybody's having clot difficulties. Enhances the antioxidant effect by putting hydrogen in, and it's jumping onto oxygen, making water bicarbonate, helping all your heavy metals leave the body, helping charge up your vitamin A, C, and E that need an extra electron. So it'll recharge the vitamins in you. It'll recharge the minerals in you, okay? It enhances your entire circulation at physiological levels. So it can't be used for cheating in Olympics and athletes. It's just bringing you back to normal. It's not like a steroid injection giving you, big muscles that are fake and illegal ways to pump yourself up but have damage to the body. And it has no negative side effects from excessive energy induction. And if you feel like you're saturated after 15, 35, 40 minutes, you take off the light. If you want to use it again, wait at least 20 minutes for the body to circulate all that light around and then use it again. Have a rest in between. And remember, the more you use the light by day, the more the mitochondria. One photon of light triggers 100 million electron reactions in the mitochondria in the dark at night to create your DNA repair. So having this light by day is actually helping you sleep better by night. And by using it regularly, because you can use it easily from your cell phone, or you're more likely to comb through each body part. You're more likely to use it more frequently. You're more likely to get back in tone and stay in tone, and then get less able to be knocked off your center point. So by tuning and toning yourself with this genius program and the biophotomodulation accessories, you're truly delivering integrative medicine, integrative sound, light, and magnetic field therapy all at once, aiming for 2 to 3 days a week or 90 hours a day, 90 minutes, that should say. 90 hours, sorry. It takes 90 hours after a session to rest your reflexes. So you may need to wait 1 to 2 days between a heavy duty detox session to allow the Herxheimer and exit of the refugees and the flow out of all the poisons and metals. You may need to just let yourself dump after a big session and then support yourself with water and minerals, and then come another day or two later and then go on another big push. If you're too tired, do a cleaning on Mondays and Thursdays and support the tissues on Tuesdays and Fridays and Saturdays. Okay, and if you want help, come to my classes like this, and I'm going to be showing you how to apply all these in the next coming weeks to show you how we might do some case studies on this, okay? So you don't have to do the programming in the Genius program for those of you who are new. It already has all the layouts for each organ, psychic protection, minerals, emotions, mind, body, spirit programs. At least 30 or 40 programs are in there. And you have the option of importing other libraries, like my recent development with the bioterrain program, okay? With Denise Armenio, we took all the parasites we could think of and all the remedies and everything into one program called the bioterrain correction program. That's really worth its weight in gold, honestly. So basically, we're going to show you how to use other sets of light, and maybe next week I'll show you a couple other competitors, but we do feel that you're going to find that using polychromatic light by getting out in the sun, using a lot of polychromatic light therapies can help for people in clinics who want to have specific targeted polychromatic and polarized but incoherent light, and that's called the bioptron light. Many of you already know about this, but it's a $5,000 or $6,000 light unit. The first lens has the sunlight colors of all the rainbow, and then you can put each one of these chakra color rainbows with special crystal glass frequencies cut into the glass by special jewelers in Germany. I believe in Budapest, and they're putting the zinc crystals and the ovary frequencies in the red glass. They're putting the spleen frequencies and the crystal frequencies for the spleen in the orange glass, the yellow for the sulfur in the liver glass, the orange for the heart, the light blue for the thyroid, the dark blue cobalt lens for the pituitary, and the purple lens for the pineal gland. So if you want to do an hour's therapy, this is one way to do it, by using a polychromatic but polarized light therapy, incoherent and low level. The cost differential, though, is that this is more like 5,000 to 6,000 plus the extra lenses, and therefore maybe you might want to consider using the $800 and on sale, a Genius program that has abilities to give similar improvements without having, but with more portability. I'm not saying, I use them both in different circumstances, okay? But the Bioptron is a hyperlight system that can give you clinically tested and certified long-lasting effects and healing effects, improving the microcirculation and capillaries and stem stimulation. It reinforces the body's defenses and regeneration process, right, for reparative DNA repair, wound healing, and proof. They put this in front of people before they go to surgery in Budapest and after they come out, and they're able to discharge people out of the hospital faster. It relieves pain and decreases the intensity of pain, and it works by basically embedding frequencies that are cut into these polarized lenses to deliver dual therapy without the high-powered laser burning effect. So this is what's called biophotostimulation or photobiostimulation, okay? And it's primarily done for metabolism, circulation, and particularly for collagen and elastin delivery, as well as anti-inflammatory. But again, I mentioned to you that the best colors for collagen, elastin, and anti-inflammatory are the red LED lights that have the deepest penetration to the skin. So Bioptron has been approved as a safe, portable, durable 20,000 light bulb, industrial-powered testing unit that's medically certified and easy to use with no negative side effects, and it's safe in wounds, pain, dermatological skin conditions of almost every type, sports medicine for healing wounds and tendons, ligaments, etc., anti-aging of the skin and or body parts of DNA, children's use, and also excellent in seasonal affective disorder. Finally, we can use light therapy by using crystals. I won't go into this much, but I give a monthly lecture on this, and if you want, I can give you guys a link to it. But we use the 16 crystals of the body parts with gold and silver as the transducer, and you can wear the eye pack to increase the light therapy, if you will, or crystal therapy to the eyes. And it also has the 16 crystals for each of the body parts in different wavelengths, so that you can use a more permanent level of crystals. So here's what I do. These crystals are in this pad here. So I put these crystals in the pad, and I have my clients who are having light therapy sit on this pad, and then they're getting grounded and they're drawing the light into them through their bodies into the crystal pad. So the crystal pad also has gold and silver to activate the crystal so they never lose their charge. And it's a very powerful and highly scientific and unique product. And I'm the spokesperson and the sleep consultant for this company, Sleep M, okay? So they basically ground up the crystals into tiny pads, and then they put the pads in their mattress or their pillows so that anybody of any age, of any type of medical device or any therapy could use it, no matter who they are, no matter what age, sex, or health condition. And they do have pillows to support blood flow to the head, or pillows with magnets in it for head injured people. And we've developed a magnetic mattress for those who are coaches who want to lie on this when they're grounding themselves doing therapy, and that also helps the practitioner. And I bought the bed myself after a car crash and head injury, and I've never felt so beautiful in all my life. Finally, we have lasers of coherent and incoherent. I've talked to you about the incoherent LED. I just wanted to mention that the hot and cold lasers are primarily used in the dental office, the tattoo removal, or the hair business. They really do need some special surgical skill, and they are like hot lasers, can do a lot of damage if you're not trained. So you're going to be very careful about anybody who just flippantly says they want to try a hot laser on you. You have to be careful of how much to use it. So if you want all the details, go to discoverlasers.com, and they give you all the differences between them, okay? But in a way, I prefer the cold lasers, which are therapeutically effective. They can increase the cellular growth and regeneration about 70% of reduction of inflammation, and cold lasers are going to help your mitochondria heal the body from the inside out. Okay, so the cold laser system I'm going to show you in the next coming weeks is going to be good for skin pain relief, facial rejuvenation, carpal tunnel syndrome, neck and back pain, shoulder conditions, smoking cessation. 4,000 symptoms can be reduced with acupuncture. So you can use the light over your acupuncture points and produce acupuncture meridian signals into those same points with no needles involved. So it's painless, non-invasive, needleless acupuncture. Is also great because you can just be self-administering light therapy with enough sufficient information on to, tell the person how to use it properly. They can get started without a lot of training, upswing or delay. And it also has very few contraindications with very few side effects. Now, there are other lasers like scalar waves that are like the NES unit. They are direct lasers that come out at you and they go deeper into the penetration. They're handheld lasers. There's some lasers now being built at scalar wave generators up to 40,000 hertz, which is really getting up there. I think that anything lower than 1,800 hertz primarily affects the human being. Do we really need lasers at 40,000 hertz? Well, they may be better for communication issues or cautery or industrial uses, okay? And just remember that with a laser, you can actually program lasers with infinite combinations and send out infinite acupuncture points or auricular laser points or trigger points, myofascial laser points. But you can still do that with an incoherent laser too by putting the light right over that myofascial point without the burning risks, okay? So I want you to just remember that cold lasers are probably the better way to go if you're going to invest in your clinic, because they can treat more often a lower intensity light with a wider variety of conditions like sprains, strains, painless pain conditions. They don't require incisions, medications, and it works whether or not the person is on any drugs or other medications that won't interfere with that, okay? The only drawback in doing cold laser and physical therapy is that the jury seems to be out on how long it will last. Most patients need additional treatments before they feel better over a period of time, rather than the idea that a single treatment of a magic bullet is going to fix that shoulder that was dislocated 20 years ago with all its intended scar tissue. So that's why using the Genius program week after week at your own home level, or with our quantum cap coaches sending you the proper recipe for the week, that gives you a chance to do it many more times with good detox protocols or proper use, and then you're able to get through your troubles at home without so much cost, strain, and aggravation. So the cold therapies work really good on low back pain and tendonitis, knee pain, carpal tunnel, fibromyalgia, wound healing, acupuncture, wrinkles and rejuvenation. Look at all that beautiful wrinkleless face. I'm not even sure if that isn't airbrushed there. Relieving fast pain and inflammation while also removing wrinkles, helping using it for weight loss, using the acupuncture and or around the acupuncture points of the ear or other places, helping with smoking cessation using the cross of the ear points. 1, 2, 3, 4 will stop most infections, laser addiction, laser help for addictions, etc. Now, there is one other laser that you probably heard of in the market. It's the Therapies. You might want to look up their website. They have a lot of information there at therapies.com. And these equipments are really at the 905 nanometer range, okay? They're really getting up into the near infrared super laser end of the spectrum. So they do affect the mitochondria. They improve the glucose for cell division. It penetrates the skin in about 5 minutes. It's very deeply penetrating. It reduces inflammation and pain and improving circulation, okay? So if you want to know about something that's a lot more expensive, but more penetrating and more used by professional licensed therapists in their medical offices, etc., you can look at these demonstrations on this, and the demo of a cold laser therapy where they modulated this now into abilities to reduce pain and absorption. And basically how it works is it improves lipid absorption, nitric oxide vasodilation, and ATP, okay? That's the near infrared wavelength, especially at 905 nanometers. 905 nanometers, is that significant on the piano? That is... Palladium is 912. It's very interesting, of a highly conductive. But basically it opens the flow of sodium ions back out and potassium ions back into the cell. So it rebalances that acid-base problem that we talked about. When you're acidic, you suck up the hydrogen and you dump potassium in the cell. So now we're really acidic. So now the body is reversing this with a laser by pumping the potassium back into the cell so it can relax, okay? And this helps propel the nerve cell and the propagation of pulses along the nerves and the arteries better, so you open up circulation. So biophotomodulation with any of the LEDs, the Therapies, and some of these others, they're accentuating your nitric oxide pathway, which, by the way, is increased by 700%, not just a little, okay? 700% improvement using high nanometer lasers versus other competitive wavelengths. So once you're getting up into that ultraviolet range, you're starting to really penetrate the upper brain and such, the arteries. Now, it does say the inner blood vessel linings utilize nitric oxide to signal the surrounding smooth muscle to relax and become flaccid, causing vasodilation and increased blood flow to the area. So ultimately, this release is decreased inflammation through the blood flow sweeping the area better, okay? So also, increased blood flow to an injured tissue will bring in more of the natural healing fibroblasts, oxygen, amino acids to heal that area, and will also flush out any heavy metals or byproducts of inflammation out of there faster. So that's how we can say that it's an anti-inflammatory therapy. It also accelerates healing by improving the adenosine triphosphate ATP pathway. It's absorbed into the mitochondria, into the cytochrome C oxidase. This is the respiratory chain that basically nitric oxide and the reactive oxygen species in the mitochondria are recharged and release this mitochondrial nitric oxide, which binds to cytochrome C oxidase, which completely displaces oxygen, leading to oxidative stress. When the laser light is added to these injuries, the cytochrome C absorbs all the laser light, and then it displaces the mitochondrial nitric oxide, reducing the oxidative stress, therefore increasing ATP production. And this whole cascade of positive metabolic effects occurs. And that's usually found at the wavelength of 660 nanometers, okay? 660 for the ATP, 900 for the inflammation. Memorize that, okay? So a hot laser can open up your linear spectrographs, and they have a new laser that's now come out called the terahertz laser, which has a laser and frequency like a hot air dryer, and you blow it on the spine, and it apparently stimulates the stem cells deep in the bones of the spine. I tried it last week, and it was very interesting. It does combine infrared light and high frequency now, not the low frequency of the coil, not the mid-range of the lasers, but terahertz, super high frequencies. And that is also being used in industry for transferring metals to different kinds, charging crystals up, and in super beam X-ray laser, coherent beam X-rays may be able to have a handheld X-ray, and you can shine it on somebody and see their bones. So this is the most recent kind of X-ray beam that I've heard about that can be handheld in the area of high frequency spectrum, okay? So I won't go into the details here, but you can charge up metals from photolysis, photocatalysis, and these are more industrial genetics, engineering sciences, okay? But you can also change molybdenum to molybdenum different state or form. So they're using it to maybe transmute, who knows, lead into gold, I don't know. And it also has the free 10,000 volts to shift frequencies up to laser level coherent beams for possible biomedical applications. Maybe they could take a handheld laser and aim it at your lymphoma in the future and use that as a portable X-ray cancer therapy. So these are the kind of merging forefront of new technologies of light, PEMF, and coherent or incoherent LEDs. And I'm going to promote to you that if you wanted the most portable, least expensive, incoherent red light to penetrate the body with PEMF and light therapy combined with biofeedback, that's why I suggest that we work into the idea of the Genius biophotomodulation. I left a few references here if you want to learn about light level training. There is classes which I've graduated in by Sylvia Passfield called Frequency Matrix Therapist and Light Therapist, FMT training. You can also get Genius training with the light wearables by Ryan Williams and now myself as his instructor on Tuesdays. I'm going to be showing you this over the coming months. There's also another mats or other frequency mats you can learn about through Robert Connolly's website, and also the pyramid energy of the science of man and why that's so important. The pyramid book was blowing my mind about the sacred geometry of all of this. The vital life of Nikola Tesla and the powerful healing of X-ray or ultraviolet UVA, B, and C lights. Remember I taught you last week, he took the iron out of the glass to get the UVA to turn into UVB healing, and he put crystals in the panes of glass to make a healing center for the UVC light. So what's the difference between hot and cold lasers? There's the little, website for question and answers. If you want to delve deep down the rabbit hole, I've given you a brief sort of wild ride through the light therapies, as I haven't been a light therapist. And if you want to learn more about this, we do have our tutorials. Part 1 and 2 and 3 are all 3 videos of these last 6, I don't know, it's 4 hours of lecturing I've given you. And if you do want to listen to our light therapy courses, join me again next Tuesday, and I'm going to show a demonstration of this. I also want some of you who are new to take our 2-week free trial of the Genius program using our Inside Health apps on your cell phone. And you could get a sign up at the Genius or the InsideHealthApps.com website, or you can just, inform them that you're one of Dr. Drake's clients or interested parties, and we'll put you onto myself or Abby, my associate, or one of our support. We'll give you a demo, and then you can try this at home for 2 weeks to see if you can handle the ease of the format. Now, if you want to learn how to use the format, there are free classes on Thursdays at 2 p.m. with Denise Armenios. So come to our classes. All of this is available at our website where we have our training room. I think I have it here called, sorry, let me go back a page here. Where is it here? ilovemygenius.com. Okay. Can you see that website here? ilovemygenius.com. If you hit the feed button, then you get our website where you can pick up all my lectures, my video replays, the PowerPoint PDF booklet. So this booklet, I see that my title is a bit distorted here. So let's just say that this booklet is not going to be called this name here. It's going to be called the IHA 205 Part 1 to Part 5. Okay. This is the light biophotomodulation, and that in the future I will put, these were last week's lectures on the magnetic field, but we're going to put some new replays up on the light course. Okay, so you've seen me do a bioterrain course, a sound course, a magnetic course, and now we've coming to the end of our light course and some tutorials on it. If you want to look at any of these, you would just go back to the ilovemygenius.com website, right? And all of those lectures are posted there. So I'm going to say goodbye for now, knowing that these events, if you guys want to grab this, I'll put it in the chat box. This is how you find my events and Janice's events or other instructors. And every Tuesday we give you, on Tuesdays at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard for me, and at Thursdays at 2 p.m., then you're going to have the how to navigate the software. I'm giving you the theory as to why you want to have the software. You don't want to live without this software, in fact. But if you want to come into the Thursday class with Denise, then you can also learn how to navigate it. So you could take our 2-week free trial from home and then decide that you want to use this, save money, and have a great life ahead of you. So for those of you who haven't seen the previous lecture, it was called Music is Medicine, Sound Vibrations and Bioacoustics, talking about PEMF. So if some of you guys have not gone back and seen that course, there's a whole bunch of lectures still on YouTube. Download them quickly. Otherwise, I'm going to pull all those, whatever, 8 lectures? No, I think it was 12. We're going to pull those hours down and put it into an event on the Genius classroom. Okay, so grab in the YouTube channels, make sure you like and subscribe so I can get some other people finding out about our work here. And let me just change the title of that. Sorry, that's a 20, I guess that was 204, wasn't it? Where we did the Music is Medicine. I'm gonna have to change the title on that, guys. You'll forgive me if some of these words are out of sequence, but there's 3 lectures now on this whole big 267 PowerPoint. It's going to be in your Genius back office. Okay. Last week, I confused Kayla by giving her part 2. And this one was so long, I decided to put in all part 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in one big handout. Okay, so just get the whole big handout. It's long, it's beautiful, it's reminding you of all the security. It's a really juicy little ebook for you. And sooner or later, I'm going to have to start charging for it. So grab it while you can for free in the ilovemygenius.com blog, feed. Okay. Now, on that note, I haven't even checked my time. I'm a bit over time. I'm going to go to my chat box here, see if there's any gripping questions for the day. Good morning, Dr. Drake. Excited for a new class. If everybody liked today's class, put a 1 in that chat box and we'll love each other. Sending a hug up. The coil does, okay, let me just sort of try and come down here to the chat box. Does the coil go deeper into the body or tissues than the lights? Yes, it does. The coil goes 5 to 10 centimeters through tissues. The light goes probably 5 centimeters or less. I guess I'd have to figure out exactly a scientific study to say that. But because the light is going through the peripheral skin into the arteries, it's going to be circulated quite well. So it does still, they both have advantages, okay? But the coil will go through the skull and the bone into the brain more easily, crossing the blood-brain barrier. Okay, so check out the Mighty Networks for the replays. Would somebody explain how to find Dr. Drake slides? Yeah, I Love My Genius. It's under the main blog. If you can't find it, look under my name and I'll post all my previous posts under my name and you'll probably see a litany of all the previous posts in chronological order. Yes, so you can combine this biophotomodulation with Genius at the same time. And thank you for this awesome session, Dr. Drake. My pleasure. What color light would be calming a facial spasm? Well, it depends. If it's a nervous twitch, then blue or cooler colors calm the nerves, whereas red colors stimulate the nerves. Would the wristband light also work with the quantum capsule? Yes, I believe it does. The quantum capsule just sends you the recipe. You import the recipe into your tablet, and then you play the tablet through Bluetooth back to your wrist. As far as I know, Janie says, yes, it will. What about the scalar plates? Yeah, I'm not sure what you're asking about there, but scalar waves can transduce coherent light, not scattered incoherent light, just so you make it clear there. Does the new PEMF wristband work the same as the current one? Yes, it is. I convinced them to make another lot of it because I tried it myself and it works so well. They wanted to maybe change the design of it to slim it down or make it something else. I said, it works perfectly great as it is. Just don't break it. If it's not broken, don't fix it. So they just ordered another batch that's coming in October. And I strongly recommend it. It's a wonderful addition to your armamentarium. And it's using it is using the cold laser and the PEMF together then. That's correct. Does the client also need to ingest minerals in addition? Of course, because the Genius jiggles your minerals back to happiness, but you need to eat them to be there in the first place to absorb these frequencies that are charging them up. Deborah Wilkins, another awesome class with invaluable information. Great, Deborah. Thank you. I hope I didn't bomb you with too much information, but I like to repeat myself a couple times so that you caught up with last week's recap and this week's application. And next week, we're going to go a little deeper and show you even further how that might be added, okay? So we're getting some ones in the chat box. I'm so glad to see you guys got something out of today's class. The best mineral supplementation I would suggest is you go to the purelifeglobal.com and /Dr. Drake. I'll write it here, PYUR Life Global. I'm a sports fan and a co-lecturer, and I work for this company as their science director, and they make a thing for minerals. It's called O2pH with 93 minerals from coral reef of Okinawa, Japan. And it's in a little tiny sachet the size of a third of a tea bag. You put it in your water and you drink mineral water all day long, okay? You can leave the satchel in the jar all day. So you're drinking mineralized water, and this is from the place on Earth where everybody lived to the longest in history. If you wanted to do the Zelensky protocol, you can also get at that same company the product called Immune Defense Stack with the high dose vitamin D.
It's okay, darling. I can speak. I'm not on camera.
5,000.
Yeah, I'm going to make dinner now.
Pearl, Pearl, would you mind muting yourself? Plus zinc, quercetin, vitamin C, and the moringa pill, which is all the vitamins and minerals in the whole world in one plant. So those are my 2 favorite products to get your minerals back up to power, okay? Now, on that note, I would like to remind you that you can reach me if you needed to. I'm at drdeb432@gmail.com. I had a problem with my phone last week, so if any of you guys were trying to reach me for a demo, I apologize and I'll get back to you. I put in a virtual private network and I locked myself out of my own email box. So forgive me, I'll be getting back to you shortly with my friend Abby and we'll get you a demo right away. And if you wanted to go and look at some of these other references for the Sleep M pillows, crystals, the Pure Life remedies, or my website, academyhealthcounts.ca. I thank you all for watching today and for joining in on this genius training. We'll see you back here next week where I'm going to show you how to use that new LED light wand. And we're going to try and do a case study next week to show you how you might implement that in actual practice, okay? So on that note, I'm sending you all love and light. Remember, the planet is being bathed with gamma waves of light right now like never in history. So get outside at 9:30 every morning, suck up the light, make sure you get grounded, get on your vitamin D and K. They say the planet is tilting and flooding. Be careful of having some food and water on hand, making sure you're ready for the, incredible solstice that's going to be coming up. And let's all just protect ourselves by staying close to God, close to the light, close to happiness, and thinking positively that all things of good will come to pass so long as we believe it to be true. God bless you all, and we'll see you next week. Take care for now. Bye-bye. Everybody unmute yourself and say goodbye.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Bye now.